Alright, so another painting video from the Brookings Arts Council. As always, my name is Shelby Meyer, and today we're going to be doing one that's a little bit different. So we don't have a canvas, so that's a little bit different. We have these little like terracotta pots instead, and usually, obviously you plant the flower here and it drains, and that's how we're going to do it. Today we're going to paint them upside down, and we're going to make them into like a little gingerbread house, which is just super cute and like a super kind of crafty idea, different than just doing a regular canvas painting. And so we're going to start off today. You guys got a really similar kind of package as you usually do, the primary colors, maybe plus green, and then white and black. And so we're going to do a little bit of color mixing, maybe not as much as usual, but just a little bit. And so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get my palette ready. And so I have just my paper plate, I have my paper towel to wash my brushes, I have the water, all of those things. So just kind of getting your supplies ready here. And really that first step, like I said, is getting things set up. And so getting my paint squirted out onto my palette so that it's ready for me to use. If yours is in cups, maybe you just have a like a plate where you can like color mix if you need to. If you don't, you might not need to. You have green. So I was gonna say you might need to mix green because red and green are Christmas colors and you'll probably use those quite a bit. But otherwise, like, you might not color mix at all. So it just depends on what you want out of your little gingerbread house that you're making. And so once I get this paint all set up here, I'm really gonna get started with kind of like the very basic things that everybody's needs. And so I like to give a lot of choice in my videos, as I'm sure you've noticed, whether it be color or like shape or, whatever it is. There's some things that you can have be different and it still be just as successful. This is really maybe more choice than you've had before. And so a lot of it is doing, obviously, all gingerbread houses, like, you need a door and you need a window. But like, maybe you don't want gumdrops on it. Maybe you don't want like a peppermint, like sucker. Maybe, maybe you don't want candy cane. Like, that's completely up to you. And so I'm gonna show you like just a couple things of what I guess I would do, and like, but please feel free to use colors that you want. Don't have to use the colors I like. That's not what I'm asking you to do. And some of the other things, like, if you don't want to have 2 windows, don't have 2 windows. Like, it's your project and you get to make those choices. But these first probably 3 or 4 steps that I'm gonna do here typically is gonna be what most people do, so keep that in mind. So like I said, first step here, we got our paint all mixed out. I have just my primary colors and then white. I don't think I'll need black until the very end, so I'm not gonna put it on right now. I don't want it to dry up. And then I do have the brushes that we usually do, so like a big kind of flat brush here. I do have my regular, just like round skinny brush, and then I do have like an extra little one. I don't know if that's an option for you guys. If it's not, this one will work just fine. It's just like with some of those little details you might want a smaller brush, so keep that in mind. So we got those, and I'm gonna start with my big brush here, and I'm gonna take my white paint, and we're gonna do like, it looks like a little like snowbank around the house, and then it looks like it's dripping kind of from the ceiling, like there's snow on the eaves and the icicles and stuff. So we're gonna start with our white paint, and we're just gonna paint in this bottom like rim of the pot first. And so you don't want to use the little brush because it's just going to take way longer than it needs to take. I'm not going to have you water it down just because we're really not going to touch this part for the rest of the time. You do want it to dry because if you're going to be handling your pot, you don't want it to smear all over the place. But yeah, make sure it gets on that bottom edge there. You don't want to see the terracotta through the snow, is what I'm getting at. And so I'm gonna paint just this bottom rim here, and that'll probably take you quite a bit of time. You don't want to get it up on top of this regular pot, you just want it on that bottom kind of piece there. And be careful as you get around to the other side that you're not sticking your hand in it, that you're not getting it on your clothes or your hair or things like that. Just because it is round, it is a little bit more difficult to kind of maneuver since it's not just a canvas you can sit up and kind of work from. And so I'm gonna keep painting this, and I'm gonna pause the video because I'm sure it'll take you guys just the same amount of time, and you don't want to hear me blab for the whole time. So I'm gonna cut out, again, be a good time to pause, and then I'll cut back in with it done. I'll show you my finished thing, and then we'll move on to the next step together. So that's what I got. Alright, so back, I'm finished painting just that rim. Like I said, there was a sticker there. that's what that is. But yeah, just all the way around. I painted it all the way around. I made sure that I wanted it to be like a pretty clean line. I wanted this to go all the way to the edge, so there's some on the bottom even. I just grabbed a paper towel so I didn't get my desk dirty. With that done, the next step here is to do the white on top. So I said, like, it's like there's snow all over the place, like it's sitting in some snow, and there's snow like up on like the eaves of the house or like the roof. And so the first thing we got here is we're going to use our big brush again, and we're going to paint just the top of this pot now. You're going to be able to see it first. We're going to paint the top white, and then we're going to paint it down the sides. But we're going to do the big part first on top with our big brush, because we don't want to spend a lot of time using our little brush if we don't have to. So I'm just going to really get the white on there. It doesn't have to be super neat and spectacular, because we're going to kind of bring it around and like onto the edge. You don't want it to be super thin, so I wouldn't mix any water in it. If you actually don't wash your brush between like the last white and this one, like that would be fine too, honestly, because you're just using the same color. And so using that big brush really quick to just get some paint on there, and then we'll revise. And you gotta be able to see me. It's kind of a weird thing to show you how to paint too, just because it is not really just like set up in my little apartment here. It's just on my desk, but I'll kind of show you all angles again when I'm done with this little brush here. And like I said, not super neat. We're just getting paint on there, and we're gonna go back and refine with our smaller brush. So this step here, smooth it out. You don't want big clumps of white paint, otherwise it'll take forever to dry. Making sure that your hands are not getting in the way of the white we painted on the bottom already. You don't want it on your clothes. It is acrylic paint, it will stain. So yeah, so I got this painted. I'm gonna wash out my brush really quick, because I don't want the paint to dry in my brush, because that'll ruin them. And then you just don't want to ruin your brushes. You can use them for next time. They should last a long time. Just dipping it in some water and dancing it around the bottom and then drying it off is enough for right now. So, like I said, we don't want it super neat. It's not a super clean line right there, but I did get it completely painted white all the way around. It kind of goes across over onto that edge, and we're gonna go back in now with our smaller brush, so that smaller round brush that I was talking about, and we're gonna use just white paint again, and all the way around the top we're gonna have like drips, or like maybe they're icicles, so maybe you want round to look like it's like icing, or you know, however you want to do it. You're going to go around and kind of fix this edge, so that kind of dictates like, oh, it got a little crazy over here, like my brush got a little crazy, so it's going to be a little longer here, a little bit bigger drip, so all the way around. And so I'm going to spend some time doing that, and I'm sure you guys will too. And I will kind of cut out the video here. It'd be a good time to pause, and we will reconvene and start working on some of like the maybe more personalized options, like the doors and the windows and colors and fun things like that. So I will see you back in a couple. Alright, so I just finished up mine. I'll kind of show you. I'll twirl it around here. It's still a little bit wet, but just all the way around we have kind of like, it looks like icing drips or like snow, or however you want to interpret that is up to you. And I have that bottom rim finished up as well. And so the next step here is we're going to do a door, and we're going to do a window, and then I'm going to show you how to do the gumdrops around kind of the bottom of the thing. So the first one here we're going to do is our door. So I would pick a piece where this is that you really like whether it be because it's, oh, like it just looks a little bit better, it's better done, however you want to choose where to put the door, that's up to you. I would pick where it's not really low, so unless you want a really little door, I would pick some place where you can do a pretty substantial door for your house. But that's just my thought process. You do it where you want to do it, and you need to decide what colors you're going to use to paint your house with, really. And like I said, like I'm not going to tell you exactly like you have to paint red here, I'm doing red here, you have to paint red here, like or blue or green or yellow or whatever color you want. But just know that sometimes with a lot of freedom becomes a little bit much for people. So to give you some sort of parameter for like the majority of people, I would say it would be a good plan to keep it to like 3 or 4 colors is a pretty decent thing. Like, decide which 4 colors you want to use and mix those up and make those on here. And how many colors you choose to use on your gingerbread house is largely based on how well you work independently and how much you know about mixing your own colors. If you want to use them straight out of the tube, that's great. Use all of them, whatever. But if you are going to take a long time and you're going to need a lot of help, I would try and limit it even further. Like, maybe you use the red out of the tube and the green out of the tube and you mix your own orange. Maybe it's something like that, something super simple, something that you're going to be able to finish, because you don't want a half-finished gingerbread house either. That's not the goal. And so I really like green, and so my gingerbread house, like, I'm gonna do probably quite a bit of green because I really like green. And so I'm gonna take some time and I'm gonna mix up like a pretty large pile of green. And you guys have green, so you don't have to mix it, but sometimes I think it can be a little bit nice if you don't want just that regular green. If you mix a little color in it, you can get some different kind of fun colors out of it. And so I'm gonna mix a little bit of red with my green because they're complementary colors, and if you mix complementary colors together like equally, you get like a brown, kind of gross brown, gray color. But if you mix just a little bit in, it just dulls it down enough, makes it a little bit darker. It's not so bright and vibrant. And so I like really kind of subdued tones. I think I talked about a little bit more in the pumpkin video if you watched that one, how I didn't want just a regular like bright pumpkin. I wanted it to be a little bit darker, more natural color. Same thing. So I'm doing that with my green. So I just mixed up some green there. You probably were able to watch with that one. And I used a palette knife to mix it. You guys probably don't have those, but it's just a fancy thing to mix. So I'm gonna use my little brush, my really little brush, just because that's what I want. But if you want to use that medium-sized brush that you got, that's great. We're gonna do the door here, and I want my door to be green. And so I'm gonna take my green paint, and you need to decide, do you want a round door or do you want a square door? That's up to you. I want a round door. The square door, you're just gonna draw a rectangle and fill it in. The round door, you're gonna draw kind of like a half, like this, a similar like rectangle, and then with just a rounded top, so kind of like a long skinny oval. And I'm just gonna go in here. I like to outline before and then fill in, just so I get a little bit nicer lines. And you need to think about how thick or thin you want your door. Do you want it tall, skinny? Do you want it short and fat? Do you want just like a regular door dimensions? Like, up to you. I'm not gonna tell you how to do that. It's your gingerbread house, it's your decision. So I want kind of like a, it's gonna end up looking short and fat just because like you can't be super tall on here just because you have a limited amount of space. But I'm doing that rounded top like I said, and it is a pretty wide door. And so I'm gonna finish painting in that, and then we can cut back in. So now would be a good time again to pause, mix up your colors, paint that door, and then reconvene, and I'll see you back in a couple minutes. Alright, so we're back, and I have my door painted in, my green door here, and the only thing missing now is a little doorknob. And so completely up to you what color you want to do. I'm just gonna do a black doorknob because that's, I think, pretty standard. I guess you could do like a yellow or something if you wanted it to be like considered like look metal or metallic kind of. But yep, I just want a round doorknob just right on my door. And I'll show you that when I'm done. So you got just my little doorknob here. So my door with my doorknob. And then I think a lot of doors have like some cool designs. Like maybe you want a wreath. Maybe you want like a little window with some curtains on it. Maybe you want a heart. Like, it's completely up to you. I'm just gonna make a little window, and I mixed up like some yellow, but like I added white to it so it's not so bright and like potent, because the yellow you got is pretty bright. And I'm just gonna add like a little square, or maybe a round window. I think that would be cute. Just a little round window on my door. And I'm gonna use that same yellow then to make like the big window like next to it for the front of my house anyways, so we don't even have to wash our brush. But yep, just a little round window guy, just to add something. If you want a wreath would be like a similar thing. It would just kind of look like a donut, and you're working really little, so you can't get super detailed anyway. So just like maybe just like a donut looking thing, and then like a bow on it would be like substantial enough, but there we go. I just got a little window on my door then, and like maybe there's like, I don't know, like curtains or something. When it dries, maybe I'll add some curtains or something in the window. But we'll move on to like the window in front of the house. And like, again, you can do it round, you could do a square, you could do a triangle, however you want to show that there's a window, but you're going to pick the color that would be like shining through first. So I'm going to do yellow, like it looks like the lights are on, and I'm going to paint in my window. And then when it's dry, we'll go back in and add like the panes from the outside that you'd see. So just drawing my window. I want a square window next to my door. And again, shape, size, all depends on what you want, color even. It's just, I think that like most houses will have at least a door, at least one window. That's just standard. If you don't want those things, don't have those things. Just know that like most places do, and the people probably like question why you don't. But hey, that's not a reason to conform. So be your own person, and if you don't want a window, don't do a window. So I'm just filling in my little square here, my square window, with that yellow paint, the same yellow from the window that I made on my door. Making sure that it's not streaky or like really thick paint, because you want it to be able to dry to take home. Alright, and I'll show you that. Make sure your lines are straight and kind of neat. Alright. Yep, so there we go. So I got a door, and I got a little window next to it now. And then, from there we got some time quick here. So I'm going to wash out my brush quick. I'm using like the really little one. And so it takes a little bit longer to paint things in, but we're gonna do the gumdrops. So like gumdrops that kind of go around the house. And while I was like waiting for paint to dry, and before like starting this section of the video, I went ahead and like mixed a couple different colors that I think I want for like some gumdrops. So I really like orange and purple and green, which tend to be their secondary colors, is what they're technically called. And so I mixed those up here, and then so I got my orange here. And I got some purple, and I got 2 different greens, and then I have just like the rest of the colors that I had on my palette to begin with. And so I'm just gonna go, and you just are gonna use those couple colors, and you're gonna start at your door, wherever you chose to make your door, and you're just gonna make half circle gumdrops all the way around on this, So you can use all the same colored gumdrops if you want. I'm gonna use, this, I guess orange probably wasn't a good idea since like the pot itself is orange, but like we're gonna run with it. So I got like an orange gumdrop. Fill that in nice. It's hard to see because it's like the same color as the pot. And then I'm gonna do a purple one here. Like so you can see that one a little bit better. And then I'll do, you know what I mean, like in a pattern. So like orange, purple, green, orange, purple, green, however you decide to do your pattern around. You don't have to do a pattern, but sometimes that's kind of fun. All the way around the bottom of this little house here. So it should be all around kind of on top of that snow. And then, so I'm going to cut out now, let you do that. It'll probably take you a little bit of time. And then we'll cut back in, and I'll show you how to do like the little like window panes, and then, maybe like the little curtains inside the window too. So I'll let you get back to that, and I'll see you in a couple minutes. Alright, so I just finished doing my gumdrops all the way around in my little pattern, and you're probably wondering like, oh, well, what happens if you get paint down on the white? Just wait for it to dry and paint white over top of it again. It's not really like a super big deal. Like I did the same thing. I made a mistake and I just covered it up. That's the great thing about paint. And so these are still kind of drying, like those little gumdrops around, and then but my windows and my door are all dry, and so I'm going to show you next how to do those like window panes from the outside on that window. And so choosing whatever color you want, again, it doesn't matter. You can use white, you can use green, brown, purple, whatever color you want to do is just fine. And you're going to take a little bit of that color with a smaller brush, and you're really just going to outline what you painted. Try and do the best you can, because you're not going to fill it in. And so do the best you can, getting like a straight kind of nice line in there. You're just going to outline a square or circle or whatever shape you chose to do. And I guess you can watch me. I'm doing like a lime green. All the way around here. And most windows just have kind of like an X or like a cross kind of pattern for the window panes. And so I'm just gonna do a line down the middle. Like so. Make sure it goes all the way across. And you can leave it like that. There's plenty of windows that look like that, but I want to do one across the other way too. And so I'm going to do one across the middle the other way. And I'm running really low on paint. That's okay. Okay. Sometimes you can add a little bit of water to make paint go a little further if you're running out, and you just have to do one little piece instead of mixing the whole thing. Yep, so that's what I got. So I got little window panes on my window, my door, and my gumdrops. And so that is pretty much what all of your gingerbread houses should have. Is this finished? Like, maybe, maybe not. Like, it depends. Could you take it home though and like present it and like hang it up or put it in your apartment on a shelf somewhere? Like, yes. And so that was kind of the main brunt of this video that I wanted to get to. So we are at a point where if you're done, like, you can be done. If you want to sit and add, I mean, like, cute little gumdrops or candy canes or lollipops around in like some of this space, like in the back or maybe like next to the door, that's a great time too. I'm gonna add just a cute little candy cane just to show you how to do one of them. And then maybe like a little, like, they're not really like lifesavers, I guess. It doesn't really sound festive because you have those all year round, but like the round candy with like the white swirls in it. And so I'm gonna use, I think I want a purple candy cane. That's kind of weird, but like it's all right. Just, yeah, I really like purple and I really like green, so that's why I use it for those colors. And so I'm gonna go with my candy cane first, and I have my purple, and you're just gonna draw kind of, you know, like an S, like to start. I would just draw like the first hook and then a straight line. You know what candy canes look like. And then make sure that it's not going into your gumdrops. You gotta stop before you get to those. And I'll show you mine when it's done here. Again, if you don't stop and it gets some paint on your gumdrops, you can always just go back and paint over that gumdrop again. Just fix it a little bit. Wait until the paint is dry and then fix it up. Okay. Alright, so that's what I got. I got my little candy cane there. Just kind of like, it looks kind of like a cane right now. And then I might do, I guess just one is fine. Okay, and then I'm gonna wash my brush out, kind of wait for it to dry up a little bit so it doesn't smear. And then you're gonna do the stripes. And I'm gonna do white stripes on mine, just to keep it kind of traditional here. Some white stripes. And mine's not completely dry, so I don't know how well mine will work. but I would wait for you to dry completely before you did it, but I don't want to keep you waiting because not everybody is super interested in this, I'm sure. And you're gonna do your stripes on your candy cane. Just make sure that all the stripes are going like the same direction. There you go. There's my candy cane, purple and white. So that's what I got for you this week. Please take your time and, I mean, go back through and add as much candies in, as many candy canes, as many lifesavers, lollipops, whatever it is that you want, add as much as you want. I will have a picture of my finished one with the video, so you can look at it for reference. But yeah, be creative, make it your own, use your own colors, use your own designs. But yeah, that's what I got. And so happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, that's coming up, and then like happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a happy New Year. I'm sure I'll see you before then, but I hope you enjoyed. It's a little bit different fun than just painting a canvas. So yeah, have a good holiday season. Thanks.